Good evening, hello and welcome to the E53 ANZCAR Cup series, brought to you by Performance E-Streaming. We're here in the scenic Irish hills of Michigan International Speedway, ready for 100 laps of fast and furious action. My name is Ryan Jones, and with me tonight is Carl.
Hello everybody, how's it going? Carl here, and yeah, in for an interesting race here at Michigan. It looks like people have really been struggling out there tonight.
Yeah, it's quite a slippery track, pretty big track temperature too, up there at 48 degrees, so really slippery, and these guys saying that their cars are looking pretty loose out there, so it should be quite an interesting.
Yes, and it's going to be tricky just keeping those cars going for those longer runs as well. Everybody's expecting everybody to be going sort of flat out around this track without any problems, but after the cars started to get a little bit loose, losing that tyre life, they were really struggling to keep flat around the circuit, and were just really struggling around turns 3 and 4, just sliding off constantly. So we could be for an interesting one, and it could be for could be the first use for one of our new rules for this race.
Yes, well, we've got 3 new rules, in fact, for this one. The biggest one, the Green White Checkered finish. For those of you not aware, we have a new rule in the Green White Checkered finish, which means this race hopefully won't end under caution. What's going to happen is if the caution flies before they take the white flag, the field's going to be given one chance to finish us on the green with a 2-lap dash to the flag. Obviously, that's the green, that's the white, and then the checkers. But if the caution comes out again on the restart, the race will end. If they make it back to the white flag, however, they're going to be coming back to the checkers no matter what happens. The other big change is that the Ford Mustang Cup car is in and the Ford Fusion Cup car is out. That's a thing of the past. The Mustang now going to be the Ford of choice for all those Ford drivers out there. And I think the most exciting rule is we've got a 30-car field tonight because eligibility for the Cup Series has been changed. Everyone is now eligible. The top 20 drivers in points are locked into the race provided they show up for qualifying. And the remaining 10 spots for any track over a mile will be filled by the 10 fastest qualifiers out of the top 20 in points. Once we get to any of the short tracks under a mile, it's going to be limited to a 25-car field. But it looks like it's been a very good rule change because gone to the 14-car fields of last round, it's 30 cars tonight.
Yeah, an absolutely spectacular field out there tonight, and we've got a few people returning that we haven't seen for a while. People like Hayden Dodman, for instance, sort of a bit of a feature last year. He had some very good, strong races, but he's back in the race tonight, so it could be interesting for him.
Yeah, there's a few new guys. Hayden Dodman, Mitchell McLeod, haven't seen them for a while. We got a few guys up there that we don't normally see. James Bell, Mark Johansson, another one. But of course, we've got all the usual guys up there as well. Edward Foster, Jason Martin, Matt Danson, Josh Mickelmore, Michael Skurlock. They're all here and they're all ready to go.
It should be an interesting race. So just before we get to the race, I'm actually going to run through the championship standings. So top 10 in the championship. So, still leading the points is Josh Mickelmore. Won the first race of the year, of course, the Daytona 500, and has stayed there ever since, but nipping at his heels are Jason Martin in second place. So, he's only a few points below him, but he is still getting up there. Michael Skurlock has managed to move into third place, so a really good position for him. He's still up there in the points. With that win last range out, Edward Foster has now moved into fourth place with his teammate Dave Douglas behind him. Stephen Williams is in sixth, with Matthew Cluett in 7th. Mirko Dortnack is in 8th, with Riley Curtis in 9th, and then Chris Purnell is now in the 10th spot. One of the big changes there is Danny G, who's fallen out of top 10 and gone down a whole 7 places, and that's mainly from missing the race last time out because he was unavailable to come in. But that's been a real big hit in his championship hit points positions, and of course there is the drop round which will help him out, but he has gone down to 11th, so out of the top 10 for the first time for himself. And another person that's fallen out of the top 10 as well is actually Matt Danson, who was I think sitting joint 10th last time out, and he's fallen down to 14th position now. So a few people are going to want to try and clamber their way up and get back into the top 10 positioning. Now, one other thing tonight that I wanted to bring up quickly was actually Edward Foster, who's got a new livery for tonight, and he's going to be running it until September. Now, this is a new livery for the Legacy charity, who help injured servicemen and women, and sadly servicemen and women who have perished, their families to basically keep on living. So Legacy is a charity that helps people come back from war zones if they are injured and help with families to support them, along with supporting the families that have lost servicemen and women in their lives to sort of be able to keep living. And this livery he's going to be going on until September, as I said. So he's going to be raising money until September, trying to get up to around $500 for the Legacy Foundation for Legacy Week for the ANZCARs, which will come on the 1st of September to the 7th of September. But we're coming to the end of the warm-up session, something we haven't seen for a while, and we're getting ready to start the race. So, Ryan, we're all ready to go.
We're all set, and I'll hand it back over to you, Carl. You can run us through the grid here. We've got 28 people. Want to let us know how the...
Yes, so we'll run through the field for you just very quickly, as soon as I can actually get my bit up. So, Josh Micklemore ended up getting pole position with a fantastic time. His time was a 39.388, which was a heck of a lot faster than almost everybody. But Joshua Carroll Walden came in at the end and managed to get second place by 0.3 of a second slower than Micklemore. Really good job for him. Matthew Cluett sits in third place, with Mitchell McLeod, a returner, in fourth, with Danny G next to him in fifth place. Norman Clark is in sixth, with Jason Martin in seventh. Hayden Dodman has managed to get his way to eighth place, with Dave Douglas in ninth. 10th is Mike Brown, with Michael Skurlock in 11th. 12th is Matthew Raymond, with Edward Foster in 13th. In 14th place, we have Robert Mason with Kai Sloggett next to him. Bruce Smith finishes the qualifying session in 16th place next to Mirko Dornak. In 18th, we have Chris Parnell with Stephen Williams next to him in 19th position. 20th is Roger Clark with Ashton Crowder in 21st. Michael Latter is in 22nd with Tristan Koch in 23rd. Then James Bell manages 24th with Raymond Yeager in, I think, 25th. And that was the end of the qualifiers who set times. So we do have a few other cars in the field, I believe. So we'll just have to quickly get those.
Ben Doherty, Riley Curtis, and Mark Johansson, those last three drivers there, who were lining up at the back of this grid. So just see the field now, gonna sort themselves out, head down the inner turn number 3 as they get ready to take the green flag. What are you expecting from this one tonight, Carl?
Well, we're expecting some fast speeds, obviously. Now, Michigan is a very fast track, of course. This relatively long over 2-mile oval, but I reckon we're going to see a few wrecks tonight, unfortunately. The cars have really been struggling for grip out there, and especially on longer runs. If we get some long green flag runs, people are really going to be struggling going around those corners to try and keep the cars with speed up for them.
Yeah, they certainly are. The pace
coming
car's
in.
going to peel off.
And we will be going green for the race here at Michigan, and green we go, and away we are.
Fantastic jump from Micklemore, though. He's going to peel away from the field, and it's going to be Joshua Carroll Walden in second place, and Matty Cluett still in third, going to try and get underneath him and take second place away from him.
So good jump by Matty Cluett.
Mitchell McLeod's going to fall back as Danny G, Jason Martin are going to probably work together here, I'd expect, to try and get up a few spots. As Danny G's trying to decide whether it's got the top side or the low side, and it's going to be up front. Micklemore is going to lose the lead here. Matty Cluett's got a fantastic run. He's going to try and get down to the inside. And it's going to be Matty Cluett who could lead us in lap number 1 here. Is Micklemore. A bit of a slide through turn 2. There's going to be 3 wide. There's going to be contact. Oh no, big crash. It's going to be a huge crash here.
Huge contact there.
The entire field almost is in this one. And this is an absolutely disastrous way to start this race.
Absolutely terrible start there, and terrible little slide there. This is what I was talking about. The grip on this track simply isn't there, and I think Matty Cluett just got completely taken out there because he was just coming around the trial section, the middle of the oval section, coming across the start-finish line. The car just got loose. He went round. Joshua Carroll Walden really had nowhere to go. Big crash there, a huge crash, and that's going to take a lot of front runners out of the top 10 and possibly out of this race as well. Quite a few cars there did actually manage to get through relatively intact, which is something. But there were so many cars there that caught damage. We're going to see a lot of cars needing to peel into the pits, just with slight amounts of damage on them. We've got people like Mirko Dornak with quite a bit of damage to his car. Skurlock, of course, Kai Sloggett. Josh Micklemore as well has taken a fair bit of damage, and Hayden Dodman as well has had a huge crash to the car number 11. He's lost a lot of bits to that car. It's not looking nearly as good as it was when it first started. So we've got people peeling into the pit lane now. But yeah, a lot of cars took damage in that, but a few cars actually did manage to make it through sort of unscathed, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do for that. I think one of the big winners there, just from what I was watching when I saw the cars going through the crash, was I think Edward Foster. He managed to miss most of that wreck. He sort of got very lucky from what I could see. So he might be one of the cars that this actually pays off for quite well. He had a bit of a bad qualifying session, but yeah, that's taken out almost all of the top field. So going to be a strange one from here on out.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these guys with minimal damage are able to keep up with the front runners at this high-speed track. And as we just take a look at this crash, you could tell as we move through turn 1 and 2 and through 3 and 4 that a lot of these guys are just moving around a bit. We saw it with Josh Mickmore. He lost the lead from Matty Clute, got a bit loose, and then got up near the wall. And unfortunately, they were all three of those cars that were 3 wide were all at the top of the track. They were all quite condensed, which meant as soon as Walden got a little bit loose there, trying to get power down, he just slid up into Micklemore. And unfortunately, as Micklemore slid down the track, he hit Danny G, and they both catapulted back up into the field, which is where a lot of the carnage just sort of came from.
Yeah, it was just a really big one, and when you have something that big at the start of the race like this, it's going to really throw the dice for you to surviving. Just as I was talking about that, Edward Foster looked like he got through pretty unscathed, but he did actually lock the brakes as he was going through that crash, and then it's sliding up into the wall and just tapping the back end of his car. So it doesn't look like anyone managed to get through unscathed involved with that incident. But all the people who were a little bit further back managed to sort of avoid the incident are looking good. One guy this has worked out for is Matthew Clute.
Yeah, well, what a start. He was third to first and Matty Clute. He'd be very happy with that. I'm just having a look now at the leaderboard. Some of the biggest gainers here. So obviously, Matty Clute only gained 2 spots there. Matty Raymond up from 12th place up into 4th. Chris Parnell's gained 12 spots for Roger Clark. 17 spots for Mark Johansson from 28th. Dead last, he's going to be restarting from P11. And yeah, there's quite a few people who gained about over 10 spots and more. Some of the biggest losers, though, Ben Doherty and Bruce Smith, they're both out of this race and retired. Ben Doherty might come back, though. Looks like he might be able to get his car back out there. Mike Brown's a lap down as well. Danny G's lost 20 spots. 16 spots for Dodman. And Jason Martin as well, big name there. He's back in 20 seconds.
Yeah, it does look...
Has he got much damage to his car there, Carl?
He did have a fair bit of damage. I've not actually gone through and looked since the pit stops, but he did have a fair amount of aero damage to the car, and he's managed to repair a fair bit of it by the looks of things. The car isn't looking nearly as bad as it was earlier on, but it's definitely not straight, and that's really going to affect his car for performance, because on a track like this where aero is king, you don't want any aero damage, and that's going to make a big difference for a few cars out there and really going to change things up.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing. I think if we had that crash on somewhere like Bristol or Martinsville, I think I could sit here and tell you that this race might pan out the same way it was going to, being so early on. But a big track like this, you know, Michigan, Daytona, Talladega, hell, Auto Club in Atlanta as well, even. Maybe not Atlanta. Yeah, damage. Yeah. So important. You get anything on that front end and you're in a lot of trouble.
And it can really really just kill your race. And of course, the big thing that aero damage does like that is it sort of causes you to have a little bit more slide. The car's not quite as comfortable as it was before, and it causes the car just to eat its tyres a little bit more than you were expecting. Just noticing though that Matt Danson has actually come in for a quick pit stop before the green flag flies. So Danson here just going to get some new tyres on, a little bit more petrol, things like that, just to run a little bit longer than the rest of the pack by the looks of things.
Yeah, Danson's certainly not a stranger to throwing the dice with strategy, so keep an eye on him and see what he can do.
Yeah, he has had some real good payoffs with some strategy calls, and it has paid dividends for him. And look, this early on in the race, he was starting pretty much last anyway. it doesn't really matter right now. You're basically making your car last a little bit longer, which gives you a bit more chance to catch a caution, so you can pit under caution, things like that. It's a good idea to sort of pit this early, but the cars are starting to form up, and away we go, and we're back to green flag racing. So we're back to green, and Matthew Cluett has managed to keep the lead. He's kept out front nice and well. We've got Matthew Raymond coming up the field quite strong now as well. He's really tearing his way up, trying to get closer to the front of this pack so he doesn't lose anyone. Chris Purnell is sitting happy back in 5th place at the moment. He's just holding his position. Meanwhile, we've got Matthew Raymond and Norman Clark having a good race, and Mitchell McLeod is going down the inside of Matthew Cluett to take the lead of this race. Mitchell McLeod has actually got the lead of the race.
Fantastic move there from McLeod, and I'm not convinced that he's going to be able to run away here, because we saw him change for the lead as well earlier on with Matty Cluett on Josh Mickelmore pretty early on in 3 and 4, so it might be a case of the suck up is pretty big here to the car in front, and we're going to see quite a few lead changes.
We are indeed, and I think the lead spot is not going to be the optimal position for this race. You're going to be using more fuel, but the one good thing about being in the lead here is there's clean air coming across your car, so your car's going to be a bit cooler, but also you're going to probably be just using a little bit less of your tyres, because you're not going to be just getting that understeer going through the corners quite as much. And that might help just for the leaders a little bit later on in the runs, but in these early stages, everybody is just drafting and just coming straight up back at each other.
Yeah, they certainly are. And speaking of coming up on someone, Matty Raymond now going to get down to the inside of Matthew Cluett. Is going to lose another spot here most likely, as Raymond should be able to slide up in front of him. He's not going to be able to. Cluett's going to hold on around that outside, and he'll get the run down the back straight here, and he'll clear him. And look out for Chris Purnell. He's going to go past him too. And unfortunately for Raymond, a fantastic run, a potential move into 2nd place is going to mean he's going to go back to 4th place now, and he might come under pressure from 5th place, which is Norman Clark.
Yeah, we've got Norman and Roger Clark back there who are fighting, and just behind them is actually Mirko Dortnak, so with Stephen Williams as well. So Illusion are actually looking pretty good right here, because we've got Chris Purnell with Dortnak and Williams in the sort of top 8 here, and if those guys can actually start getting a little bit of a pack running for themselves, start running well together, they can start pulling out a bit of a lead and actually getting to the front of this racetrack.
Ifs and buts there, Carl. If the teammates want to work together,
Yes,
which we've seen quite often, they don't generally do sometimes. As we think back to the Pocono Cup race, where the teammates took each other out for the lead.
Yeah, exactly. The teammates are not always willing to work together, but this early in the race, you've got to start thinking about it, because Mitchell McLeod is actually pulling out one heck of a lead at the moment. He's almost he's 0.7 in front of Cluett now, and he's just driving away from the rest of this field as they're all fighting with each other, trying to sort of keep each other behind each other. They're just losing speed, and he is just gaining on the rest of his pack and just pulling away here. So somebody's going to need to start working with Matthew Cluett, or those Illusion cars are going to have to start working together to actually start climbing back up to McLeod now.
Yeah, I was just looking behind them now at Stephen Williams, Norman Clark, Joshua Carl Warden's back up there, and so is Josh Mickelmore. These guys are fighting for 7th place, and they're having a pretty good battle. I think Mickelmore might take him 3 wide here. He might just sit back and give Carl Walden a push. We'll see what he does here. And he's going to push Walden. He's going to try and push Walden through. But something I've noticed is the outside seems to be the best spot to try and make an overtake, because you can keep up your momentum and just power around the outside, get the drive off the corner, and make the move stick. As that looks a bit tight between Walden and Clark.
Yeah, Walden just had a little bit of oversteer there, just coming out the corner. He kept the car pretty well, but his wheel was going left to right a few times there as he was coming through. And as you were saying, the outside line, it does seem to be the favourite line at the moment. There's just a little bit more grip out there, I think people are finding. Earlier on today, I was watching practice session, and everybody was trying to run that inside line as much as they could, and people who were going down the inside line were just losing the car on the exit. So I think people are a bit wary of the far inside line, but the midsection to the sort of high of the line, it's seeming to be the favourite for the moment.
Yeah, it is, and I do wonder if that big crash at the start might have thrown a couple people off, and maybe just tempered their aggressiveness a little bit, because you don't want to have that happen more than once in a race, and ideally not at all, as that's a slide and a save for, who was that? Please help me out here. I think it was Matty Raymond.
Yeah, Matty Raymond there, a really good save there, and he's had a few good saves in the past actually. Matty's in the new Mustang, of course, and that car's not doing too badly. The fastest of them is actually Matty Raymond down at 5th place now, so giving that car a good whirl out and sort of giving it its first sort of turn as an anger as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drivers go in the new Mustang, of course. The Stallion on the front, of course, will of course make it slightly faster than the rest of the cars, but at least in the driver's mind.
It's a good looking car, that Mustang, isn't it? It's some of the better looking cars out there. I'm particularly a Ford guy myself, though. At the front,
it's a shame there's no Holdens.
Yeah, there is a shame. It's still business as usual out front for Mitchell McLeod. He's got about a 7/10 of a second lead over Matty Clute, who's starting to feel the heat. Chris Purnell and the Illusion Motorsport blowtorch being applied to his rear bumper.
Oh, and we got a big crash at the back. We had a big off for Kai Sloggett. He has managed to keep it running, but he had a huge moment there. Just looks like he might have got tapped by... just trying to look actually to see what happened. But we've managed to keep green though, but he had a huge moment just way off into the infield. He managed to keep it running though and get it back on the track, so we've managed to keep it green. But he's just gone up into the side of Skurlock. So big moment there for Sloggett, and he has dropped way back, and that car is not looking very good at all now.
That's unfortunate for Sloggett. You don't want to put yourself behind the pack in these instances. I've been watching at the moment. Edward Foster, Matt Danson, Raymond Yeager, they've been 3 wide for about a lap now. They're just sorting themselves out now, right as I bring your attention to it. But yeah, Matt Danson, remember we mentioned him, pitting, taking those fresh tyres, getting a bit more feel. He's still only running around in 14th place at the moment. Wonder if he's just sat back saving fuel, and they're 3 wide again.
Yeah, 3 wide again with Danson down on the inside there, and it's really battling hard out there. And these are guys that, Matt Danson, of course, is on those slightly fresher tyres than everybody else. He took that pit stop at the end of the caution period, and it seems to be paying off quite well for him at the moment. So he's got a slightly heavier car than everybody else. And just looking, it looks like Raymond Yeager just had to ease out of the throttle there, and we got a caution.
But who was it for, we wonder?
And it looks like it was Norman Clark, I think. Let me just have a little look back. Roger Clark, sorry, Roger Clark. And I'll just try and see if I can work out what has happened there. So Roger Clark was fighting pretty hard with Danny G out there. And we'll just try and find out what has actually happened with that caution.
It was Mickelmore.
Mickelmore, sorry.
Poor Mickelmore. He's been in the wars today, hasn't he?
He has, yeah. And, Clark's just driven down straight into the side of Mickelmore. It might have been a bit sort of unsighted, but he's just gone down, just tapped the front of Mickelmore, and that has spun Clark out. But more frustratingly, I imagine, for Josh Mickelmore, it's caused a big bit of damage to the rear of that car. So his car is he's not really been the instigator and really had any cause for these crashes. He's just been a passenger tonight and just had a few people just magnetised towards his car, it seems.
Yeah, no, and I think last race when Mickelmore got involved in that crash, we brought up the fact that it was his first incident of the year. And now he's had 3 incidents in the space of 2 races.
Yeah, it's all crumbling down there, and that's one of the things in racing though, is you can have periods where you have fantastic stints where nothing goes wrong and everything goes right for you, and then you can have a spat of 2 races where just nothing will go right, and it seems like this is starting to happen to Mickelmore right now. Really unfortunate, because he was a really strong car out there tonight and was challenging for was going to challenge for the race win for sure.
And we're going to have some pit stops now. The entire field's come down the lane, led by Mitchell McLeod. As he pulls up into his box, he hits his marks. We'll see who wins this race off pit road. I expect to be 4 tyres for absolutely everyone here. Don't see the point in taking 2 tyres at this early stage of the race.
No, it's you just got to change all 4 at this stage of the race. There's no point trying to short feel it and trying to short stop.
I think someone took 2 tyres.
Yeah, just saying that, one of the Illusion cars I think took 2 tyres, because it looks very much like they've got a big leap on the rest of the cars out of pit road.
Have a look if he did.
I think it was Stephen Williams. So he's pulled out a large gap now with
Okay.
Matthew Cluett.
Stephen Williams did not actually take any tyres or any fuel. So there's an interesting one for you. He sort of just pulled up into his box for about a quarter of a second and pulled away again. So maybe he slid through his box there and just decided it's not worth reversing up.
Well, that is a very strange one there, and you would think it would be worth at least doing something to the car in that sort of position. But this does give a track position. Maybe he's looks like he might be coming back
he's
into
going
the
to
pit
come back
road.
down the lane.
So
In terms of the guys who did manage to do a pit stop, however, it's Matty Clute who's got the job back over Mitchell McLeod. So he'll be cheering for that little bit of gain there.
yeah, he's going to be quite happy with getting back in front of McLeod because McLeod looks like he's had a fast car, and Clunt was no slouch today as well. He's been driving well and he's got a very fast car underneath him, but he needed to get back in front of McLeod to make sure that he does not run away again after this yellow flag period is over. And just having a look down the field now just to see big gainers, and Matt Danson's actually sitting in 8th place now, so Matt Danson is really climbing his way up the field, so fantastic drive by him so far, and use of strategy. Chris Purnell and Mirko Dortnak going 15 places and 13 places respectively over the rest of the field from the start of this race, so they've really paid off. They're sort of the incident earlier really paid off for those two, and really paid off quite well for Matt Danson as well, who's up there in 8th. Edward Foster in 10th with Raymond Yeager in 11th. So Raymond Yeager, who had a shocking qualifying session, unfortunately, he managed to tap the wall twice during these qualifying runs and didn't set a time, unfortunately. But he has managed to get his way up to 11th place, and he's been driving strong this season. Raymond Yeager has actually been driving incredibly strong sort of for the last 2 years. He's not really been fighting for those wins, but sort of those top 10 areas, he's really been nipping at the heels of those other guys.
Yeah, Yeager, I think, is actually quite a good driver. I was speaking to him recently, and he just gets a bit unlucky sometimes. Oval racing, something you need in oval racing is a bit of luck, because as we saw at the start of this race, when you have a big crash, it's not particularly easy to avoid it, and a lot of the time you can just get involved in a lot of mess that just isn't your fault. There's something you can do about it, and unfortunately for Yeager, that does seem to happen to him quite a bit. But
Yeah,
it's been good to see him have a couple of good runs lately. Hopefully he can have another good one tonight.
He has been unfortunate in some of those wrecks, and he can sort of say that could be down to sort of qualifying pace, things like that, because when you qualify in the middle of these fields, you're really, really going to put yourself into a bad position at the start of the race if there is a crash. And that tends to be the issue for some guys, is getting an oval racing is very difficult, and usually the wrecks, you can't do anything to avoid them. Sometimes you'll get lucky. I was doing a race a while back and I had a car fly over the top of me. It didn't cause any damage, which was a lucky moment. But it's those things that you need. It's just luck sometimes. It's better to be lucky than good occasionally. But for race wins, you need to be good as well as lucky.
You certainly do. Another way to eliminate that luck factor is to qualify on pole, lead every lap, and just drive away from the field, which is a skill that not many drivers have. I'd say probably Jason Martin, Matt Danson, Ashton Crowder.
Yes,
one of the few drivers in our league that can do that.
It's a tricky thing to do. Jim Clark was a fond one of saying that. He didn't like racing, he just liked driving fast and being in the lead. So he said if you were in the lead of the race, you weren't going to get caught in any trouble and you weren't going to get a crash. So it's a good theory to live by, and it usually pays off. So we're back under green. The pace car's going to be pulling into the pit road any moment now.
We'll see if Clute can get a good jump on Mitchell McLeod here, and he does in fact get a good job on Mitchell McLeod, as does Chris Purnell. He's going to pull alongside him, and I would say that Chris Purnell should get ahead of McLeod, and Dortnak makes an aggressive move down in front of Joshua Carl-Walton to cut him off. We'll see if he can carry his momentum in front and follow his teammate through it. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. He might clear him out of turn 2, and now Carl-Walton's going to take him 3 wide down the back straight. We'll see who wins this fight, who's the bravest of them all, as Purnell gives a push to the back of Clute down the back straight. Not interested in passing him just yet. Instead, he's going to lose out to the 2 cars behind him. They're going to take him 3 wide, and Carl-Walton falls back into the hands of Matty Raymond.
Yeah, so just there, actually, one big thing I was watching was just the Illusion Boys, is they actually, Chris Purnell kind of cut off McLeod as well, just pulled him back a little bit, trying to actually make him fall back behind Dornack. So it does look like the Illusion team are trying to get their cars into a position where they can run with each other, and it's starting to happen now. So Mirko Dornack is just pulling up onto the back of Chris Purnell. He's having to fight really hard though with McLeod, who does not want to give up that position because he knows what's going to happen if those two cars get together.
Yeah, it looks like at the moment we're going to have a good battle for the leaders. Mitchell McLeod got a little bit of a snap oversteer there. He was able to correct it, not lose out too much momentum, but momentum is a big key factor in how you handle this track. It's so fast, it's so much of the track is wide open throttle. You need to keep that momentum up, and that's something we've seen off these restarts. These guys lose a bit of that momentum, they get swallowed up here. As I'm just looking at Dornack get sideways as well, and you can just see how much these guys are struggling with this hot track temp. It's still 46 degrees out there, which is quite significantly hotter than you'd be comfortable driving around with.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier driving in a sim car when it's those type of temperatures for sure, but the tyres still don't like it, and it just means that when you're out on those tyres and they're just going through their heat cycles, things like that, you just lose a little bit grip here, and you don't expect to lose a little bit grip in some areas, and occasionally they become grippy in odd spots, and that kind of looks like what's happening at the moment. A few drivers just being caught out by a few sort of corners and just really struggling. But back to the momentum thing, it is a really big thing, and it's something you really don't think of. It's just lifting your foot off for a throttle for 0.5 of a millisecond. You do that on a track like this, and you might drop 3 to 4 positions without any trouble.
Yeah, so I got to sort that out. Not quite sure what happened, but Mirko Dornack was on the inside of Mitchell McLeod is back in the pack. That looked a little bit dodgy. I'm not sure who that was. It might have been Roger Clark, maybe. He got sideways and just forced everyone else to check up and go around him, but they've all sorted that out. And back out front, it's still Clote from Purnell, who is just pushing him. Purnell does not look like he's interested in overtaking Matty Clote at the moment. As I say that, he's going to get down to the inside of him. Someone's going to eat my words on that one.
The good old curse of the commentator has struck you this time, yeah, and we just see Purnell going down to the inside, and he's just going to try and push Matty Clote up high a little bit and try and get in front of that car. Because it looks like Dornack is actually struggling a little bit and not quite on the pace of these front guys. So Chris Purnell does get in front of Clote and does manage to lead a lap, so that's a big important one, of course. But Clote is just sitting there.
We'll see if Purnell can back Clote up here and give Mirko Dornack an opportunity to move into second place. The two teammates might be able to manufacture a move here for Mirko. We'll see if they can do it. Still got Mitchell McLeod still hanging on in fourth place after restarting on the outside of that front row, and Matt Danton is up in the sixth place, just on the outside of Matty Raymond. He's going to complete that manoeuvre. Josh Mickelmore, by the way, he's still in P10. After 2 crashes, he's still holding on to a top 10 spot, so good on him. Hopefully he can continue to fight away.
Yeah, and that's where that thing of to be good comes in. Josh Mickelmore is just one heck of a driver, and he's just able to get that car back up there and just keep it in those positions, top 10 positions. He's been finishing in that sort of area all year, and even when he's had damage and issues, he's sort of managed to get the car up into the points positions, and he's been very, very stable. Joshua Carroll-Walden just got a little bit of oversteer coming through turn 2 there, managed to catch it, and it's just sitting right at the back of McLeod now, trying to push him along with straight. We've got a bit of a fight going on at the back there with Raymond Yeager, I think it is, and sorry, not Raymond Yeager, Roger Clark, Tristan Koch, Riley Curtis, Jason Martin. They're all in a big battle at the moment, and we've got Josh Mickelmore with Raymond Yeager side by side as they go across the start-finish line, fighting for the 9th and 10th position.
Yeah, there's a number of good battles throughout the field, but right now, joining us up here in the commentary box for a special interview is Mr. Danny G. He's currently scored in 27th place in this race, 24 laps down. Mate, what are you doing?
Oh, I got a ton of damage there, bro.
Oh, that's not good to hear.
So I assume you are one of those unfortunate victims of that gigantic lap-on crash. Want to walk us through what you saw from your perspective of that big incident?
Yeah, well, I thought I did a pretty good job at the start. I think qualified started 5th, and I headed into turn 3, I think, in 3rd. And I thought I was looking at clean air basically at 2nd, and then all of a sudden I was just looking the other way, and cars hit me, and yeah, it's just unfortunate.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, isn't it? You get a package like this where everyone's so close together. You get a track like this where it's so slippery. Did you sort of expect that you might see a crash like that, or were you more positive about this, right?
I thought it'd happen around lap 2 or 3. The first lap didn't seem to be that bad, sort of like on the tyres, but by lap 2, 3, it was pretty slippery out there.
It was a bit slippery out there, and it certainly looks like it's still slippery out there. Do you want to give us some of your special commentary here for a lap, Danny?
Sure. What are we watching?
The leaders are side by side.
They are. What a great run by Matty Claude here, up in second place. That's on the inside of Chris Purnell. Looks like he might be trying to make a run for the lead. The turn 3, we'll see if he can get there.
Yeah, Purnell and Claude have been having a fantastic race so far, and it's really paid off with that early unfortunate crash that did take out so many very good drivers, yourself included. It's opened it up for a few drivers that we don't normally see running at the front of the field.
Yeah, and that is cool. There's a few of them up there. So yeah, it's going to be a pretty good battle, I'd say, throughout the rest of the field.
And we've been getting one heck of a battle down in sort of 14th, 15th place as well. A lot of cars changing positions out there. But you're finding that the any line in particular was causing trouble out there tonight?
You could sort of, like, I only really know off the practice that we were at, but you could sort of, the high line in turns 1 and 2 wasn't too bad. Just turn 3 and 4 were just, like, real sketchy. You really couldn't drive in too hard. The car would just come around. Pretty much had to go 3/4 throttle through it. Yeah, just have discipline to do that.
Yeah, it did look like a bit of a handful out there, unfortunately, which is not what you want. Matthew Raymond, just had a big moment just going through turn 3, I think it was, and it's just dropping back, just through the field right now. He's just had to drop down to the lower line, and it's really cost him in speed. He's falling way back out of it, and we've got
Dortanack. Good save from Dortanack there. He got a fair chunk of opposite lock going out of turn number 2. He's able to hold on to it. He's going to lose a ton of track position. He's going to go down to back behind Edward Foster, back down in what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th place for Mirko. He's gotten sideways again. All those tyres are looking hot and overheated for Dortanack. He's in a bit of trouble right now. Hopefully, for his sake, he can hold on and regather that car, get a bit of momentum back for him.
Yeah, Dortanack really looks like he's been struggling out there tonight. He was running in second place for a fair bit of time, but Matthew Claude just had the better of him. He was getting the help of his teammate Chris Purnell as well to try and keep him up there. Obviously, and into the wall, I think he just got a slight tap. But it just looks like his tyres are just gone away from him, and he's just fallen and just out of position and really struggling to get that car, keep him going around in circles.
Oh, he certainly is.
Or again.
Oh, and Dave Douglas there with a big off, and Dave Douglas is going round. He's managed to catch it slightly. Into the pit lane he goes backwards and across the infield. He's managed to keep the car running though, and he's getting back on the track. Big moment there for Dave Douglas. It looks like he's managed to keep it going, and looks like we've managed to keep green.
Our leader, Chris Purnell's going to have a moment by himself too, and they're going to go 3 wide down the back straight. And look at Mitchell McLeod, the run that he's got. He's going to go from P4 to P1. What a move from Mitchell McLeod. As Chris Purnell's going to go all the way back now to P number 6, and everyone is absolutely skating on ice out there. I don't think we're going to be green flag for much longer, boys, because everyone is absolutely struggling out there. Matt Danson's now moved into P3, and Josh Mickelmore, by some ungodly known force, has found himself back up in the top 5.
Josh Mickelmore, Joshua Carroll Holden, both in that earlier incident as well, and they're back in that top 5 as well, so great drives by them. It looks like the cars are really struggling out there, and everybody's just been skating on thin ice, just going around the corner. If you go up too high, your car's going around. If you go down too low, your car's going around. It just looks like you need that perfect line to keep the car sort of somewhat centered. Otherwise, you're going to be going off into the fencing or the infield.
Yeah, and before absolute calamity was finished, I was going to ask you, Danny G, what are your plans for this race? Are you going to get back out there and try and score some sort of bonus points?
Yeah, I think there's about 6 or 7 guys that have quit out already, so hopefully I can get back out there and pick up a few laps and get those points.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. Was there much damage you're repairing right now?
Yeah.
And Roger Clark's just gone sideways. Sorry, Roger Clark was just going sideways. He's worked his way up into the top 5 and dropping all the way back into, I think, around about 13th, 15th place. So from 0 to hero moment there for Roger Clark. Just the tail end went out for him, but he managed to keep the car on the line still and keep it running. So that is something. But yeah, it doesn't look like we're going to be running green here for much longer.
Well, we've said that twice now, but I can guarantee now we've said that these guys are going to impress us. They're going to turn it around and they're going to go green to the end, aren't they?
Well, the reverse psychology of the commentator, that's what we're trying to use here. And it seems to be working, but a guy that's doing very well at the moment is Mitchell McLeod. And let's get my viewer up. Mitchell McLeod has pulled out another lead, and he's about half a second in front of the rest of the guys. Wait, sorry, it's about 50.5 of a second ahead of the rest of the field at the moment. He is really going for it. He's got a very fast car out there tonight.
Yeah, he's taking that opportunity he got given from that fourth to first down the back straight, and he's trying to seize it right now. I think he might have a bit of competition now because Matt Danson's moved himself into second place. The ever-present Matt Danson.
Yeah, Matt Danson, of course, and he just managed to avoid all those incidents at the start and just keep himself clean now. And he's the car that's actually running on the newest tyres, I believe. Oh, wait, no, I had that second stop, sorry. But he has had 3 pit stops now, Matt Danson. So one of those strange things on oval racing where you can have 3 pit stops and still be in the sort of leading pack. And, a big moment there for the back. Trying to see who it is. It's I think it might have been Manny Raymond. Yeah, Manny Raymond just got up into the wall and has lost a heap of positions. There's a few new colour schemes as well out there tonight, which is catching me off slightly.
You got anything you want to say there, Danny?
Oh no, guys, I might leave you to it and get back and coach the team along and see if I can get those points. But thanks for having me, and yeah, enjoy the rest of the race.
Well, I hope we could have helped you out and given you some information about what has happened in the race so far as well. So hopefully help your guys out for the rest of the race. Good luck, and we look forward to seeing you back on track.
Go easy, fellas. Thank you.
All right, good luck, Danny. That was Danny G from where's he from? Mitch Motorsports.
Mitch
Motorsports. Mitch Motorsports. There we go.
Mitch Motorsports.
Up the front, Matt Danson is closing that gap rapidly to Mitchell McLeod. Dare I say it, we're going to have a new leader soon, but we'll see what sort of a fight that Talking Man can put up here. Danson looks like he's just going to have a bit of a wiggle here. Maybe if we go on board with Danson, we'll get a real feel for how these cars are handling. You see, closing, getting closer and closer to Mitchell McLeod. He's not going to bite the bullet. Danson's a very smart racer. He probably knew he couldn't get the move done in turns 1 and 2, so he might back out, try and get a run off the corner, but it doesn't look like he's quite nailed that one, and McLeod is going to be able to just eke out that gap once again. But you can see that there's quite a lot of time off the throttle there through 1 and 2. He's just trying to fight the car and keep it as straight as he can, turn as little as he can. They're not going to go down to the inside, because you do that and you might go for a little slide. He's got a bit of oversteer, and you can see that Mitchell McLeod's just disappeared from his view. There he is, he's back now. He got a bit higher than Danson, which tells me that McLeod might be struggling a bit more for grip. He's just having to use up a bit more of the track, whereas Danson's able to sort of drive it in there a bit deeper almost. He's able to keep the car a bit lower on the exit. And yeah, you can really tell from this onboard view are we on board? Are we on board there?
Let's just double check. Okay, so back to his nose. So just as we were talking there, actually, sorry, just Kai Slogger had a big moment. He just was running off into the infield. But I do wonder if Danson is just trying to stick behind McLeod for a few laps just to save a little bit of fuel right here.
Well, we're going to get our answer now because he's not going to stick behind him. He's going to go down to the inside of Mitchell McLeod, and he should be able to clear him here and slide up in front of him. He gets a bit of oversteer. You can see that wheel working, trying to keep the car straight. He's going to complete the move. We'll see if Mitchell McLeod can get a run off of the top side of turn 2 and get back down his inside, but it doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it.
McLeod is just sitting under the rear wing of Danson, but he's just not able to run that low line, but Danson's able to. McLeod's actually just gone a bit high, and he's going to be looking in his rearview mirror at a car full of Chris Purnell, actually. Purnell is right in his rearview mirror. And yeah, we've got McLeod and Purnell now battling for second place as Danson takes the lead.
Yeah, these cars are really loose at the moment, and it's a little bit surprising actually that even someone such as Matt Danson is struggling. No, not struggling, but fighting that oversteer so much. Purnell, what a run he's just had. He's got past Mitchell McLeod. He's going to get up there and challenge Matt Danson. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to clear him through 3 and 4 here, and Danson should be able to get the run off the corner. But they're still going to be side by side as they come across the stripe. The lap will be led by Danson. And behind them for 3rd place, Matty Klute's got a good run. He's going to get down to the inside of Mitchell McLeod. There's going to be a little bit of contact there at the front as Matt Danson and Chris Purnell come together.
Oh, and Mitchell McLeod's just gone up into the wall. He just had a slight scrape with the wall, just went really wide into turn 2, and that's lost him a little bit of speed. Meanwhile, Matthew Klute is now the guy with the speed. He's on a real good run now and has actually got a bit of a run towards Matt Danson.
Yeah, he has indeed. He's able to capitalise on that little bobble between Danson and Purnell. Was able to take this momentum and get past Danson. But I do wonder now if Mr. Danson is going to be a little bit miffed at Purnell there and maybe give a bit of a return serve. It was just one of those things. Danson came down, Purnell came up, and a little bit of contact was made. It's what you get when you come and race on the big boy ovals.
That's it. Look, a little bit of door rubbing is not a bad thing for stock car racing. It's what it's all about and what it was built on. So, yeah, Purnell's just got a decent lead there over Danson, and it does look like these guys are really struggling. And somebody, you don't expect to struggle is Matt Danson, because he's usually so good on those tyres. But meanwhile, while this all is all going down, we've still got Micklemore in 5th place, who is actually getting a good run now on McLeod and Kluet, and is trying to get down the inside of those guys.
Yeah, something I've learned the last 2 races with Josh Micklemore is that damage means absolutely nothing to him.
Yeah, you might tell him that the car's damaged, but he won't listen to you, and he'll just keep putting it out there and make it go faster and faster somehow.
Yeah, he's a very good steerer like that. As for the lead, Matt Danson's been able to close the gap back up to Chris Purnell. We'll see what he does here as Purnell gets a little bit sideways, a bit of oversteer off of turn number 4. That might hurt his momentum a bit. And in that draft, we'll see Danson get closer and closer and closer, but the fastest man of that top 3 is actually Matty Klute. He's going to get it quite close to the back of Matt Danson here too.
Yeah, Matty Klute's just been getting some good runs, and he's been keeping the car there or thereabouts all race. He's led a few laps for sure, but he's not really been leading as many as you'd expect with the speed that he has in that car, and he's just really just keeping it there, not really pushing too hard. Meanwhile, you've got people like Purnell and Matt Danson, who's come up from 18th and 23rd place, and just really just made some amazing moves through the race, and just the the crash earlier has really helped them out for sure. But Klute has definitely got the speed still. I just wonder if he's just easing off a little bit, just trying to save the car a bit, not push it too hard. Another guy that's actually on a charge at the moment is Jason Martin, who is coming up from... he's made his way up to 7th place. He got involved in that big smash earlier, and he's just about to get past Joshua Carroll Walden down in 6th place.
And Matt Danson's going to lose out here to Matty Klute. He's going to get a run off turn 2. He's going to dive down to the inside, down the back straight. He's going to try and slide up in front of him, I suspect. In 3 and 4, he won't be able to do it. Or he's got an opportunity now to start in front of him. Will he try it? He's going to try it, but he just can't quite close that door. And Danson's going to force his way back up in between Klute and the Walton. He's going to be able to get back in front of him, hold on to that 2nd place for now.
I tell you what, that was some great driving by Klute. He knew that Danson was coming, and he really gave that position to Matt Danson. He could have kept his line, could have stayed there, but that was going to result in a crash for sure. And he wiggled the car a bit, just lifted off slightly, moved the car away from him, just to keep the car safe and keep going for the rest of this race. So this is what I'm saying about Klute's race tonight, is he's racing with his brain quite a lot, and he's not pushing that car as hard as it could go, I think.
Yeah, well, it is only lap 50. We've just hit the halfway mark of this race, believe it or not. This has been such an action-filled race again. So I think a lot of these guys just be thinking about their pit stop now. When they want to come in and make that pit stop and just try and keep the car clean, they'll realise now these cars are quite loose, and they'll try and just keep themselves off the wall and off the other cars to come down, get some fresh rubber, and go back out and really attack the track again, because they've not been able to attack much lately with how these cars are handling.
And Cluett just makes a beautiful move on Danson, just sails down the inside and really just cleanly past him. What a fantastic move from him. We've got some battle going on down the back, and I believe something's happened to a couple of drivers. I think there might have been a bit of an incident a little bit earlier on. No, it was actually a pit stop. Edward Foster is the first of the pitters. So Edward Foster has pitted for some fresh tyres and some fuel right now. He's the first of the guys to do it. He was sitting down in about 10th place beforehand, having a real big battle with Stephen Williams and Mirko Dortnak, as well as Michael Skurlock, actually. All of the Illusion cars are just in that sort of area. He was having a very big battle there, and he's just come in for fresh tyres. He's a lap down almost, but he's back into the sort of same position he was a lap down now, and he is just sailing past those drivers. He has got a lot of speed, and as you'd expect on fresh tyres, he is just setting the timing alight and really gaining some good pace. This is going to force drivers in front of him to start looking to have to come into the pit lane because they're going to get the dreaded undercut happening.
Yeah, this could create a bit of a ripple effect through the field here as a guy in front of Foster has to pit, then in front of him has to pit, and so on and so on. Eventually the whole field's going to have to come down pit lane. Or no one else is going to pit, and they're all going to try and overcut Foster here and get him at the end of the race. As we see Dave Douglas get shot back through the field there, he's a lap down. He's going to lose another lap. Or he's going to lose his first lap, in fact. Just wait and see when one of these leaders... Once one of these lead cars comes down into the pit lane, I think we can say certainly the rest of the field will come down into the pit lane as well. At the moment, it's all status as normal out front for the top 5 drivers.
Well, Matthew Cluett is starting to work a little bit on Chris Purnell, but he's got Matt Danson still nipping away at his heels. And you're really going to have to start thinking about that pit stop soon because the times are just so different with this. And of course, the end of the race, the overcut, sorry, this could be a thing, you getting that fresh tyres.
And here we go, for the lead, Matty Cluett going to try and take the lead back in this race from Chris Purnell. He's going to do it with relative ease, actually, and with so much ease that Matt Danson's going to actually almost draw alongside Purnell, but he won't quite be able to do it as Purnell's going to use that draft. He's going to get off the back of the MFR car and just pulls himself short of giving a bump to the 54 there. And so it's a new leader again. Another lead change is the 54 MFR, Matty Cluett.
A guy to look out for right now is Jason Martin. He's right on the back of his team leader, Joshua Micklemore. Those two cars have got up, and Jason Martin has just come from, it would have been probably about 5 or so seconds back from this group, and he's managed to claim his way all the way up here. Maybe he's just been tyre saving all this race and just finally put it into action because all of a sudden he's got more pace than any of these top 5 cars.
Yeah, I think Martin's the best driver we have in ANZCAR at the moment of looking after his tyres and making sure his tyres are there to support him at the end of these long runs, and we're certainly seeing the effects of that right now.
Yeah, he is really driving well and getting up behind his teammate there, Josh Micklemore. Those two could start working together a little bit to get onto the back tail of this lead pack. We've had these same 4 cars for quite a while now. Mitchell McLeod, Matt Danson, Chris Purnell, and Matthew Cluett in the lead, having that sort of advantage over the rest of them. But if the Mitch Motorsport cars can get up there and start basically... Oh, and we've got Mitchell McLeod coming into the lane. So the first of the rough front runners coming into a pit stop. And this will be interesting to see if this starts everybody else coming in next lap.
Yeah, as long as he hits his marks here, doesn't slide through his pit box, he should be able to get some sort of advantage from this. As you see him pull into his box. Can he hit his marks and pull it up? Yes, he can. That's a beautiful stop there for Mitchell McLeod. He should be able to get out here, and he might come out in the lead of the race, actually. I think the tyre difference, the undercut, should be worth enough over 1 lap to gain about a second, I'd say. So we might see a new leader once it's all done, but at the moment, the other 4 or 5 drivers out there at the front have all stayed out. Micklemore, Martin, Danson, Purnell, and Cluett, they're all still battling for the lead of this race. Not reacting just yet. Maybe they think it's not worth pitting this far out from the lead, as there is from the end of the race, sorry, and there is Mitchell McLeod down on the inside exiting pit lane. He's going to lose almost exactly a lap, come out exactly where he was in this queue of cars.
Yeah, it's not lost too much positional placing. Of course, he's lost a whole lap, but Now we're going to see how much faster those tyres are, and look at how much quicker he is going round the side of Micklemore. He is just going to round up this group and go past him, and Matthew Cluett has seen this, pitted straight away because he knows that this is going to be a big advantage for McLeod, who we have seen all race long run so well in clean air.
Yeah, you can certainly tell how good these new tyres are compared to these old tyres. He's just got that confidence that he can put the throttle down and not, get absolutely destroyed by those tyres, just screaming in agony. We'll see where Matty Cluett cycles back out now, because I think he'll lose the lead here to Mitchell McLeod. I don't expect to be able to hold on, and I think we'll probably see Chris Purnell dive into the lane this lap.
Yes, we do. Chris Purnell is diving into the lane. He's the third of our top three to come in to take new tyres, which will mean that Matt Danson takes the effective lead of this race. But already we've seen that the car of Mitchell McLeod has just got probably about a second advantage over Danson already. Matthew Cluett's coming out the pit lane now, and you can see him just slotting in just beside Jason Martin. So he's lost a lot of time on track. He has really fallen back quite a bit behind Mitchell McLeod.
Yeah, so he's going to be about, I'd say on this cycle's out, probably about 5 seconds behind Mitchell McLeod, 5 or 6 seconds. That's quite a big advantage that McLeod's been able to gain there. And Mike Danson's not going to pit, Jason Martin's not going to pit, neither is Josh Micklemore. We've seen Danson a number of times try and stretch his field to the end of the race. He can't do that today, can he? Surely not.
From the stage where he pitted, I don't think that's possible. If he can, then he is he's doing an old Audi trick of managing to make sort of fuel and tyres that just appear on the car somehow in these long races. I don't think it's possible for him to go out there. The general lap stint, I think, was around about 40 laps, if I recall. So he's not going to be able to manage past that without some sort of miracle.
And Jason Martin and Josh Micklemore both going to come into the lane now as well. And Chris Purnell made his pit stop, cycled back out onto the track, and he is about 4 seconds behind Matty Cluett. So that even that 1 lap difference, absolutely mega here. Jason Martin, he's got a reputation for not being quite so spectacular in the pit lane as he is on the fast part of the track. So we'll see if he can get it right this time.
Yeah.
Very cautious pulling into his box here. He pulls it up, and I think once this green flag pit phase cycles out here, we're going to see this field a lot more spread out than they were before this pit stop. And it'll be interesting to see how these guys that pit later are able to sort of race.
We've got Danson coming into the pits.
We'll see if they can race their way back through the field and make these moves late in the race with this overcut strategy. Yes, Matt Danson's in the pit lane. And there's Chris Purnell going past Josh Micklemore, who's going to come out of the lane. He's going to go back around Jason Martin as well.
And a guy that's worked out well for currently is Edward Foster, who's just behind Chris Purnell. So Edward Foster was languishing down there in about 10th, 13th place. He's back into 10th place already, but there are quite a few cars that need to make pit stops in front of him still, and are just coming out the pit lane. And yeah, that's really paid off quite well. Matt Danson's had a pit issue, so Matt Danson has had some form of issue. We'll try and get a little bit more on that in a moment, but it looks like he's going to lose a lot of time. He's actually pitted coming out just behind one of the Illusion cars, I think, and that will be Stephen Williams, I think. Yes, just coming up behind Stephen Williams, who was would have been about 10 seconds down on Danson at the pit stop stage when they actually pitted. So he's lost a lot of time there, Matt Danson.
And I've just had a look at his pit stop, and I could not tell you what's gone wrong for Matt Danson there. It looks like this guy dropped off the jacks, and he got going in the wrong direction. He went reverse.
Oh, that is a big mistake. But it's going to mean that he's going to have to fight his way back up to take this race win. Meanwhile, 4.5 seconds ahead of the second place man is Mitchell McLeod, who has just worked this out perfectly by the looks of things. He is really pulling out a good gap here, and he's able to keep the same pace as the guy behind him at the moment. He's just got past a load of lapped cars, he's in clean air, and he's running well, and we've seen all night Mitchell McLeod's able to run well. But as I was saying, Edward Foster has actually jumped Josh Micklemore, so he has made a fantastic gain on those pit stops. So he's currently sitting 6th, just behind Joshua Carroll-Walden, another guy that made a really good pit stop strategy there for him, because he was a fair bit down on some of the other guys as well. So it looks like Joshua Carroll-Walden's really got pit stops actually really paid off for him as well. And he was one of the guys that pitted a little bit later than some of the others, but he's managed to make it pay off because he's just behind Jason Martin and Chris Purnell now.
And there's a good battle now for P3 on track. As Martin's going to get down to the inside of Chris Purnell, and here comes Joshua Carl-Walden as well. He's going to get down to the inside of Chris Purnell, maybe get the run, as they both fight to get into the draft to Jason Martin. Though it's going to be Chris Purnell that wins that fight. He's going to push Jason Martin down into turn number 1 on the outside. We'll see if Walden can shoot that car through on the inside. He's not going to be able to do it. Martin's going to be able to get that momentum back off the top side of turn number 2, and Chris Purnell is going to lose 2 spots, go back to P number 5, and Walden will slot into 4th place behind Martin there.
Yeah, Chris Purnell actually had a bit of a big bump on the back of Martin. It wasn't huge, but it was enough to make him actually lift off, I think. He got a little bit more draft than he expected by the looks of things, and he actually had to lift off. Meanwhile, we've got Matthew Clurt has just lost about 0.5 of a second on Mitchell McLeod, who is just absolutely walking away at the moment. He has really pulled up a decent gap. But Matthew Clurt's coming up on a big bunch of lapped cars as well, so he might be able to get some drafting from those lapped cars and make up a little bit of position time, but currently it's looking good for him. And Jason Martin just had a big moment. He managed to keep the car perfectly centred. Joshua Carroll-Walden was it looked like he was turning right to go left for a moment there behind him, because he was expecting Martin to drop a little bit further down than he thought, and has avoided a crash pretty well, but that was a big moment there, and it's really put a little bit of gap between these top 3 now, but they're going to get back at it rather soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, even while these 3 drivers have been battling, they've gained about a second and a half in these last 2 laps on Mitchell McLeod, so I dare say we'll see these 3 up there fighting for the lead before this race is done. They're closing in pretty rapidly on Matty Clute.
Yeah, they're really going to start closing up, and it's going to be an interesting finish to this race. It should be, we're on lap 68 of 100, so we should be able to go green from here without too much trouble.
You had to say it.
Yes, well, you've got to put the curse out there sometimes to make an interesting motor race. But no, we should see these cars running pretty well. Everybody looks like they've actually got a handle on the cars as well, so that's a good thing too.
Martin's going to go down to the inside of Matthew Clute. He's going to complete this move very easily. Did Clute maybe even sort of just let him go there, because that was almost too easy for the driver of the number 21.
And this could be Clute just playing a little bit with the car and just not quite pushing it to the extremes that he was pushing earlier on. Something that I did notice was there was a car just losing a little bit of grip going through one of the corners as well in front of that group. But Edward Foster is starting to lose a few positions now. And he's just gone round. Edward Foster's just gone round, and he's managed to keep the car and weaving all across the track. He's just got to the start-finish line back on the throttle, and he's going to be keep going from that one and keep us green. I'll try and figure out what happened while we're going on. But he had a big moment there coming out of turn 3, I think it was, and yeah, he's really started to fall back now. So he did make some really good positions up earlier on in the race, but that's really paid off poorly for him. So Michael Skerlock was just going down the inside of Foster, and just having a watch now of the replay myself, and Foster's just gone around by himself. So it looks like these tyres are starting to fall off for him already. And that is only 20 laps into this stint, so it looks like these tyres are only lasting about 20 laps before they start getting into that phase where they start losing traction and grip.
Yeah, and Matty Clute had a pretty big moment as well, coming off of turn number... I've forgotten what it was, but coming off one of the corners on this track. There's 4 to choose from. Matty Clute quite a bit sideways and lost quite a bit of momentum there. Jason Martin's closed down the gap to Mitchell McLeod now to 2.5 seconds. He was 7.2 seconds back earlier, so the Mitch Motorsports driver is coming, and he's coming fast, and Matty Clute's coming as well, so is Joshua Carl-Walden, Chris Purnell. They're all closing up, and this could be a tasty finish.
Yeah, we could be looking at a good one here, as I think Maddie Raymond just had a little bit of a moment as well going through turn two. Always the hardest thing on ovals, trying to call the turns, because sometimes corners are just one big long turn, and you have to go, well, where does it start to become turn two from turn one?
And
So, a
Edward
tricky thing
Foster
sometimes.
has just come back into the lane, and he's going to take some 4 fresh tyres. So, I'll ask you this, Carl. Are we done with green flag pit stops for today?
That is interesting, because I do not know. We've still got tw-
27 laps left in this
27 laps to
race,
go, yeah, so we might be seeing people trying to come in and actually go ahead of people. But in all honesty, I think Foster would have needed to stay out for a couple of extra laps there. Because it was hard to say actually, because he's going to be on very fresh tyres. Everybody's going to start losing their tyre life around about lap 78, so lap 80. So he might start making up some speed, but he's going to have to start hustling that car around and really trying to make up positions. He's going to have to actually race for it if he wants to get into a good position for this race.
yeah, I think we'll see another round in green flag pit stop cycle through the field here. These guys are just struggling with their tyres once to get 10, 15, 20 laps on them. So I think for the safety of them all making it to the finish, I think they'll choose to pit again. And once someone from the lead pack pits and maybe someone else goes with them, I think they'll drag everyone else down as well. So all we need is 2 or 3 cars to blink, and we'll see another whole cycle of green flag stops here. But the gap now, just 1 second out front, McLeod to Martin.
Well, think about this. Mitchell McLeod is on tyres that are 5 laps older than Jason Martin right now. So we're seeing a speed advantage right now from Jason Martin. It looks like McLeod's tyres might be just dropping off the edge of the hill now, the edge of the cliff, because it seems around about lap 20 is where their tyre life just starts dropping and dropping and dropping. So we could see a splashing dash coming in for around about lap 85, possibly, for a few of these drivers.
Doherty. Ben Doherty right in front of Jason Martin there. Doherty's 2 laps down. He got very sideways, and good job to spin down to the apron there and wrestle that car back to the point the right way and not take out Martin. That would have been a bit awkward.
Yeah, there's for all the little mistakes that have happened out there tonight, for some of the spins, and a lot of the spins have just been the drivers just losing the end of the car. There have been some fantastic saves, and we've only had, what, 2 cautions now, so there have been a fair few cars going off track, and it's good to see that the yellow flag isn't being thrown too quickly for these drivers, because they're able to get it back on track, get back running, so they're able to keep these green flag laps going down. And yeah, I don't know if we'll see. I think we're going to see some people throw the dice. I think we're going to see a few people come in for a stop and a few people stay out. And we won't know what's going to be the best strategy until the end of this race, I think is what we're going to see.
Yeah, a few guys have had a few spins and got down to the infield there, but our a brand new, fully animated Iracing flagman just a bit reluctant to throw that yellow flag.
Yeah, and it's nice to see. It's you know, sometimes cautions come out a bit too quickly, and in all over racing, from sim racing to the real world. And sometimes you can just leave it for a second and it'll clean up and it'll be okay. And one of the advantages we have in sim racing, of course, is people can just jump out the car and make it magically poof, disappear. So having a few less yellows and a little bit more time to keep running green is what we want to see, because green flag racing is what we're here to do.
The rate of knots at which Martin has been catching McLeod has slowed down just ever so slightly, but don't be fooled, he's still catching him, and Matty Clute is coming as well. He's 1.2 seconds back. Joshua Carl Warden and Chris Burnell are pretty close together as well, as Burnell's just got by Joshua Carl Warden. The next closest guy is 6th place, 8 seconds back, all by himself. He's got 6 seconds to the car in front and 5 seconds to the car behind, Josh Micklemore. And looks like it's a pretty close battle for P7. It's Mirka Dortnack and Michael Skurlock, the 2 Illusion Motorsport teammates. And then there's only 12 cars in the lead lap. 5 seconds behind Skurlock was Matt Danson trying to fight back with his pit stop. Whatever happened to his pit stop. Is right in front of him. Riley Curtis comes down to the lane. Where is Riley Curtis?
Riley Curtis is down in 16th place at the moment, so he's going to drop down. So he was in 16th place last lap. So he's pitting in now as well. And of course, Riley Curtis Design Racing, the Riley Curtis team, is, of course, teammates with Edward Foster. So it's interesting to see this because it looks like the Riley Curtis design cars are just needing to get those tyres on a little bit quicker than everybody else out there tonight. So don't know what's going on with their driving style, things like that. Could be just a bit of teamwork just to try and make sure that they get a good position. Um, just make sure they don't crash out really as well, because that's always a risk you're going to take when you're running on these tyres when they sort of start getting down to canvas and stuff like that, and they're not very grippy at all anymore. Is the fact that you might just crash out and just completely lose a relatively good points paying position.
Yeah, I'll just finish running through these lead lap cars. We of course Matt Danson. 2 seconds behind him, Stephen Williams, and then 11th and 12th, the last 2 lead lap cars are Roger Clark and Norman Clark.
Yeah, so
That's your top 12. They're on the lead lap. You've got 4 cars that are a lap down. You've got a few that are 2 laps down. Then the rest of the guys from 20th on back have all been involved in incidents today. That's Tristan Koch, Cost Loggett, Dave Douglas, Danny G, who we spoke to earlier. He's actually out on track now, circulating, trying to gain some positions. Mark Johansson, Hayden Dodman, Mike Brown, Alright Mason, and Bruce Smith. They're all out of the race. And back out front, it's all how it was before, because Jason Martin has not been able to make any more inroads on Mitchell McLeod, and Matty Clue is in fact making inroads on both of them.
Yeah, we've not really got much change at the front here, and it does seem that Mitchell McLeod is still one of the faster cars running it out in the clean air. We've noticed that sort of nobody else has really been out in clean air and managed to get past him. So he's still running very well, and he's doing a very good race. I was just about to say, it's a real big shame to see Bruce Smith out of this race so early, because Bruce is a driver we don't see at many races, but when he comes to them, he can sometimes pull out a spectacular result. He's a very good driver.
Yeah, he's not half bad. He's a good driver when he turns up. I'd love to see him more often in the series. And Martin's actually losing time here. He's losing time to Mitchell McLeod. He's doing a phenomenal job at his return to the Cup Series here in this number 40 Torque Inc. Motorsport car.
Yeah, McLeod has done a fantastic job. He qualified really well. We were actually, when we were watching qualifying a little bit earlier on, we saw Mitchell McLeod just jump up to the top of the sheets, and it didn't look like he was going to get beaten. And then the Mitch Motorsport cars just came in and just annihilated that time. But he was still very good. He was up there in positions, and he's just been running very good all race. He may not have been the fastest car in traffic, but out front when it's clean, he's been driving incredibly well and really keeping that car working for him.
Yeah, he's been driving well today, and we'll see if he can close it out. He's got 17 more laps to navigate here.
Oh, sorry, and we just got a big off for Michael Skurlock, I think it is. No, sorry, Marco Dortnack has just had a huge moment coming across the start line. Looks like he might have just gone up into the wall slightly, and he's just spun the car out. So real big moment for Marco Dortnack, who was ahead of his team leader, I think, Michael Skurlock, at one stage. And he's just had a huge moment coming into turn 3 and gone around. I'll just try and jump back and see what actually happened there.
Well, once again, no caution flies. We're going to stay green, and call me selfish, but part of me kind of wants this race to go green until about lap 96 or 97, so we get to see a green white checkered for the first time in ANZCAR.
Yeah, it would be nice to see one of those. Very lucky not to hit his teammate Stephen Williams there, Mako Dortnack. He just got down on the inside line and the car just went around. He couldn't get any traction and he just really lost the positions on that car. So, yeah, the tyres are definitely causing an issue out there and are not holding on very well for sure. So, we could be looking at a green white checkered if people try and stay out to the end on these tyres. I don't think many are going to make it, but it's worth a shot.
It certainly is, and I think at this stage they've all made the bed now. They all have to stay out. If you pit now and the guy you're racing doesn't pit, you've in 14 laps, I don't think you're going to quite make that gap back up. So everyone's going to be staying out to the end now, I think.
Well, it's all determined by fuel now, isn't it? Yeah, that's the thing. It's kind of determined a little bit by fuel now and just how bad the tyres get. Because I was talking to a few people and they were saying that, you know, these cars were only managing about 35 laps, 30 laps before they were becoming almost undrivable. and these guys are going to have to do another 20, another 10, 15, 13 laps on these tyres, getting them to around about 40 laps for Mitchell McLeod. He'll have done 40 laps, about 42 laps on these tyres come the end of the race, and it'll be interesting to see how well they do, because we might see somebody try and gamble and come in and see if they can make up some positions with hitting right now, but you've really just got to try and last out to the end now, because you've not got enough time to really make up positions if you do hit now.
And Chris Purnell has been plugging away quietly, and he's now joined this battle. The top 4 cars separated by 1 second. He's riding behind Matty Cloet. We'll see if he can make a move on Cloet here. Looks like he's going to get down to the inside. He's going to try and make this move stick into turns 3 and 4. See if he can complete it. Cloet's going to try and hold on, but he's not going to be able to do it. And he's got an opportunity to slide up in front of him, and he will do that now. I expect Cloet's going to get a good run, and he will. Can he get back down to the inside and make it side by side again? Or will Purnell throw a block here? Cloet's just happy to sit back in behind him. Then maybe just recognising that Purnell's got a bit more pace than him at the moment. They're happy to let him go and see if he can cause a bit of carnage in front of him. As Purnell gets sideways and saves it. That's a good save for Purnell, and he's still trying to save it. This will give an opportunity to Matty Cloet. Matty Cloet will, in fact, get back down to the inside. And Jason Martin's going to be looking at this in his mirror and going, keep going, boys. Keep doing this and just don't put any pressure on me, thanks. And he's not going to be able to complete the move. And, oh, so very close to the wall there as Chris Purnell. He's just done enough to stay out of it. He's going to get a run, come down. He's going to clear Matty Cloet once again.
This is the thing about Matty Cloet tonight. He's just been racing without having really any sort of mistakes or any little wobbles and stuff like that. Touch wood. Hopefully I've not put the curse of the commentator on him. But his car has been incredibly stable, and he's just been keeping pace with these front guys. Same thing for McLeod as well. His car has just been really stable, and looks like it's not been any trouble to him at all. Whereas Martin and Purnell have been just looking like they've struggled a little bit. And we're starting to get to some lapped cars now. We've got, I think, Matty Raymond just being lapped now. And we could start seeing this helping Jason Martin a bit, because he's just gained about 2-3 tenths on Mitchell McLeod with this lapped traffic, and he's just got back onto the end of him, and he's going to start catching the slipstream as well. But while this is happening, we've got Chris Purnell getting into the slipstream with Jason Martin as well, and he's going to start getting a run too. So we could see a big 3-man battle here for the lead.
Yeah, we might do, and I think while we've been watching this, Joshua Carl-Warden might have made a mistake, or he might just be struggling on his tyres, because I do believe he's lost about 2, yeah, down to 3 and 4, back on lap 89, he made a mistake, lost a fair bit of momentum, so he's just falling back ever so slightly. We'll see if Mickelmore is about 1.5 seconds behind. We'll see if Mickelmore can get to Warden before this race is done, but back up front, it's 1.5 tenths, the difference between Mitchell McLeod and Jason Martin.
It is so close for these guys, and Mitchell McLeod is just, I really must say, he's doing a fantastic job. He's on tyres 6 laps older than the guys behind him as well. So this is where that slightly later pit stop might be paying off for people like Martin and Purnell, because they got slightly grippier tyres. Just watching McLeod there, he just had a little wobble coming through turn 3. The back end of the car was just coming a little bit jumpy there for him, and he's just got to hold it on now. If he can hold on to this car, he might be okay, but Jason Martin is not going to want to try and let him get away now.
No, it's all out attack now at the end of the...
And you can just see Martin just sitting right back on the back of McLeod. As Ryan said, all out attack mode now for Jason Martin, as well as Chris Purnell. He's just got the attack mode on, and they are going to start going for it.
But it doesn't... Oh, I won't say it. I was going to say Martin has been struggling to get closer than that sort of 1.5 barrier, but McLeod just a bit slower than Martin and Purnell there, coming off of turn number 4, and he can throw a blanket over these top 3 cars. They're so very close together right now, and Mitchell McLeod's going to hold on for one more corner at least, and it looks like he's got enough. He just tags the wall there off of turn number 2. but Martin's had a terrible run. He's not going to be able to capitalise on it. Chris Purnell's going to get down to the inside of Jason Martin. Get us a fair way in front of him by the time they get to turns 3 and 4. Can he clear him? Yes, he can. Can he slide up in front of him? Yes, he can, but he's going to slide up too far. He's going to get the wall. He's going to go sideways, and Purnell's going to exit stage left down to the infield grass. He's going to slide. He's going to keep the car pointed straight, and we will stay green once again. But now here comes Matty Clute to the back of Jason Martin, who had to check up for that spinning Purnell. And Clute's going to take P2 away from the 21 car, and all the while, Mitchell McLeod is just driving away.
And he's almost a second ahead of these guys in second and third place right now, and that is a big margin to have on them. He has just the thing there, Purnell just lost the car a little bit on exit, and this is the problem with these cars right now, is those tyres are right on the edge of the limit, and you can just see these guys just having to tiptoe around, and McLeod's actually coming into it.
McLeod's down in the pit lane. What? No! Mitchell McLeod. What has happened? With 4 laps to go, he's coming into the pits. That's unless he thinks everybody's just going to drop off here and something strange, or he's just got an issue, maybe a technical issue or something like that, because it makes no sense at all. He's gone into his pit box and slid ahead by a fair margin, so he's completely messed up that pit stop as well. While we're debating whatever the hell that is, Matty Clute and Jason Martin have switched places again, and Jason Martin's back into what is now the lead of the race, and Matty Clute's going to be in second place here, chasing them down the front straight. 4 laps to go as they cross the line. Yeah, Hayden Dodd, what do you want Dodman for? Mitchell McLeod, he didn't get loose. I thought he might have got loose and spun into pit lane, but he didn't. He's just driven on down into there, which, inexplicable.
You've got to ask why, really?
I have absolutely no clue why he's done that. I might have to ask him in some post-race interviews.
Yeah, just no idea why he's done that, but that's really just handed Jason Martin the race here, possibly, because he is just pulling away now. He is flooring it away from Matthew Clute, who's dropping down by... He's dropped down by about 8 tenths.
It's fuel. It's got to be fuel for Mitchell McLeod, because I'm looking at Matty Clute drop further and further from Jason Martin. His last lap was 7 tenths. Yeah, look at Clute. Clute's out of fuel. He's got no engine sound. Matty Clute is turning that engine on and off. He's trying to save fuel frantically, so it's turned into a fuel race. So that answers that question. Mitchell McLeod is not going to make it on fuel, so he came down, got a splash and dash. He's going to come back on track, and Jason Martin. And if you go on board with Matty Clute, you'll hear that right now he's...
I just say Clute's just got passed by Purnell as well. He's just bleeding time. He's hemorrhaging it, but they've got almost they've got a fair gap between themselves and some of the other cars, but everybody else as well is well, everybody else pitted a couple of stops later, so everybody else has got a little bit more on board, because the thing is with McLeod, he was the first of those to pit. Jason Martin is probably the one looking best at the moment, because he pitted last of that lot, so he's probably got an extra lap or two of fuel on board. So people like Clute, who's just dropping way back now, Purnell, who is just lifting off through the corners, he just has no speed at all. He's just not able to make any speed in that car at all. Just could not make it on fuel. That is a real disaster for
Mitchell McLeod.
Mitchell McLeod, yeah, there we go, thank you. Yeah, real disaster for him, because he's dropped down behind Roger Clark and Norman Clark. He's dropped all the way down to 12th place.
Yeah, what a shame for him. And Jason Martin's taken the white flag. He's coming down the back straight for the final time today. He's got a 1.5 seconds over Chris Purnell. It should be a comfortable one here for Martin. He's got the final corner to navigate here. Well, who would have thought? He was involved in that crash on the very first lap of the race. But he's come back, he's fought through, he's won the race.
And Mitchell McLeod just goes past him.
Absolutely stunning from Jason Martin to come from the back and to win. What a victory. Yet another victory for Jason Martin in the Cup Series.
Yeah, Jason Martin had a fantastic win there. The crash really took it out. He's qualified in 6th place, which is quite low for Jason Martin in all honesty, but he just drove a fantastic race. And Matthew Clute has managed to take 3rd place. With no fuel at all. He is driving the car now, and there is nothing but just deafening noise from the car. He has got no fuel left in there whatsoever. what a disaster for Mitchell McLeod, but what a fantastic win for Jason Martin. He just managed to pinch it there, and a fair few of these drivers must have been just running on fumes by the looks of things.
Yep, I think we are both kind of caught off guard by that extreme lack of fuel for a lot of these drivers there. But yep, that's a big factor of oval racing. You've got to time your pit stops right to make sure you've got enough fuel to get to the end. And that's something that Mitchell McLeod's not quite gotten right today. And Matty Clute, luckily, is able to escape with third place. And Purnell is going to come away with second, despite that big moment that he had towards the end of that one. That was a pretty good race. What do you think of that race, Carl?
That was a fantastic race there. Just listening to Mitch McLeod on the radio there, he was just saying just how out of fuel, just had no choice but to pit. But what a real shame for him, but a real good victory for Martin. He's got to be stoked with that. From where the start happened and he got knocked all the way back to coming back to win it. It's not something. Jason Martin is not a driver we not used to seeing in the winning box. He's often in the winning position, but it was a fantastic drive for him. He really climbed back up the field and showed his skill there.
Yeah, well, that's just Jason Martin for you. He's an absolutely brilliant driver. And you want to run us through the full results for us there, Carl, while we wait for some of these guys to jump into the.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll run through the results now. So Jason Martin, as we said, took the win there. Fantastic drive for him. Just made that strategy work for him. Just staying out that little bit longer really helped that victory. Chris Purnell came in second, 16th to second. What a great drive for Purnell. Matthew Cluett finished in third, qualified third. His car was really good all race. What a real shame for him to run out of fuel at the end there as well, because it looked like he was going to be the guy to challenge Jason Martin tonight. Josh Micklemore finished fourth despite that accident earlier on. Again, Josh Micklemore just climbing back up to fourth place. What a fantastic finish for him. Joshua Carroll-Walden fifth, with Matt Danson in sixth place, Michael Skurlock seventh, Stephen Williams eighth, Mirko Dortnak in... Just make sure I'm reading the results there. Mirko Dortnak in ninth, Norman Clark 10th, with Mitchell McLeod in 11th. What a shame for him. Roger Clark 12th. Raymond Yeager 13th, with Edward Foster in 14th position, and having to make that earlier stop for himself. Tried to make it work, didn't quite work for him. Riley Curtis finished in 15th place. Matthew Raymond in 16th. Ben Doherty down in 17th place. James Bell managed 18th place in the race, with Michael Latterer in 19th. Then we had Tristan Koch with Kai Sloggett. Dave Douglas and Danny G managed to finish 23rd out after all of that. Managed to climb a couple of positions by the looks of things. Mark Johansson managed to get 24th. Hayden Dodman in 25th. Mike Brown 26th. Robert Mason 27th. And 28th was Bruce Smith, the first of the retirements, unfortunately, from that big first lap crash. What a race.
What a race. And let's get Jason Martin up here. Let's see how he's. Jason Martin, Ryan Jones up here in the Performance East Tubing booth. Congratulations, another victory for you. How do you feel after that?
Oh, awesome, mate. Had to work hard for that one, and that car's so much fun now.
Yeah, well, we're a bit surprised that you managed to get your way back up there because you were involved in that big crash at the start of the race. And did you think that after that first lap you'd be able to claw your way back up to the front?
No, after that wreck, I was just sitting at the back thinking, just trying to get as many points as possible. But then, as the race went on, I thought I'm going okay.
Yeah, you certainly fought well to get yourself back to the front, and you played that pit strategy perfectly, as we saw Matty Cluett run out of fuel, or had to conserve massively to get to the end with his fuel, and Mitchell McLeod so unfortunate to run out there. Did you know that McLeod and Cluett were going to be that tight, or did you think you were going to have a pass them on track for that win?
Yeah, I was pretty sure McLeod wasn't going to make it, but I had no idea about Cluett.
Yeah, that's one of those things. You've got to get the fuel right, and you did it perfectly today. Was there anyone you wanted to give a shout out to?
Got to thank the boys at Mitch Motorsports. the guys that run ANZCAR for putting on a great league, and of course Performance E-Streaming and BK Designs for the wonderful skins.
Alrighty, Jason Martin. Thank you for your time. Go have fun. Go celebrate.
Yeah, definitely need a few drinks after that. That was hard work.
Congratulations.
Well, Jason Martin, there, the race winner. Yeah, just a fantastic drive by him. He just he really came back to take that one from the jaws of defeat.
Yeah, he certainly did. I'll let you handle the next interview, Carl. Who do you want to talk to?
Yeah, I'll be grabbing Chris Purnell down actually. Second place man, Chris Purnell. Chris Purnell, Carl Withy here for Performance E-Streaming. How are you going?
I'm good, thanks, buddy. And yourself?
Yeah, pretty good there. Congratulations on that second place.
Thanks, man. It's been a pretty tough season, so I'm pretty happy to get something back finally.
Yeah, it's good to see you back in the booth. Actually, it's been a while since I've had the opportunity to chat with you. Actually,
Yeah, it's hasn't been the exact season start that I wanted, but I'm coming good at the right time.
that's it. Look, if you come good at the end of it and you get things going, that's the main thing, because there's always the chase and the drop rounds, things like that. So you can always pull out a good position for the end of the championship with this season as well. Just as long as you get some good results in at some stage. And today is definitely a good result for you.
Yeah, that's it, and it's kind of building momentum because the next place we go to is a road course, which is kind of like my little creme de la creme. I really enjoy the road course.
Yeah, road course is a completely different challenge as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how people go there. One thing I want to quickly ask you is we saw Matthew Clerk there just have a big issue because he was pretty much running on gas fumes and having to switch the engine off and just going down the straights. How were you on fuel?
I had about 0.3 of a litre when I rolled in pit lane on the cool down lap. I knew we were going to be close, and when I got up to the back of Carol Walden and Matt, I sort of hung back a little bit and just lifted a little bit earlier down the straights just to try and get that little bit extra to make sure I was able to get there.
Yeah, we did see a bit of fuel saving and just trying to keep it going as much as you could, and you did a fantastic job of that. Another thing you did a fantastic job of was avoiding all the carnage on the first lap.
Yeah, it sort of just opened a big gap for me, and I went from like 18th to 6th in half a lap, so I was pretty excited about that. So had a couple of sketchy moments along the way, but
Yeah, we did see you actually having a moment as you were going along, and it looked like tyres were a real problem out there tonight. The cars looked extremely sketchy going through the corners, and it did look like you were having a real problem for grip out there.
yeah, it was. I think it was something to do with the track temp. To be honest with you, it was like nearly 50 odd degrees when we started the race. So I think that was why the cars were sketchy. But it didn't seem to matter where you ran. It was just it had a twitch, and then the next minute you were out of control, sort of thing. So I was pretty impressed by everyone to keep it going green for as long as they did at the.
Yeah, we saw a lot of people actually just switching it like yourself. You had a few moments, as you said, and just a few people going off course and just running across the infield, and we didn't get a yellow come out, which was great to see because it was so good to have such a long green flag period and so exciting to see that racing. Of course, one thing I want to ask is, with the incident that happened, of course, it did open up a big margin for you. Did you have a car here tonight that you thought was going to be able to get up into that top 10 position?
Yeah, I honestly thought it was in the bag when I got past Martin near the end there, and I got a little bit excited on the throttle, and it sort of stepped out, sent me down towards the pit lane. But yeah, no, I definitely had pace tonight, which was nice to feel that I could run up the front and be.
Yeah, a big helpful thing there to run up the front and actually know that you've got the pace as well for it. It's a big confidence booster, of course.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
I just want to say thanks to the Illusion Motorsport boys. They've been working pretty hard the last couple of weeks, getting everything ready and getting themselves back in the groove with it. So,
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chris. I'm sure we'll see you again before the season ends. Hopefully on the road course. We'll see you one position up.
cheers, buddy.
Thanks, Chris. Chris Purnell there for Illusion Motorsport, and what a fantastic second place. He had a few moments, and it didn't look like he was going to get that second place for a little bit there, but with Matthew Clerk's fuel issues, it sort of came good for him at the end.
Yeah, he certainly fought hard for it. And I think we've got time for one more interview. I try to decide between Micklemore and Matty Clute. I think we'll have to drag Matty Clute up here and congratulate him on the set. Matty Clute, Ryan Jones up here on the performance he's doing. Very third place today at Michigan.
Yeah,
How do you
thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I feel pretty good actually. It was an awesome race. I didn't really expect to be that good there today, but yeah, didn't quite have the fuel to run with them at the end. I felt like I had the tyres to run, but yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it looks like you might have pitted about a lap too early there. I think maybe if you pitted a lap later, you could have won that one.
Yeah, definitely.
Were you expecting that race to go green to the end, or did you think you might get a couple?
Yeah, once we got going, I thought I knew it would more than likely go green all the way. When I seen Chris lose it a bit there, I thought that was going to bring out a caution, but nothing happened. So I knew it would go green to the end after that.
Yeah, there was quite a number of incidents that actually occurred throughout that race that did not bring out the caution, which was a bit
Yeah.
surprising. You did a very good job at the start of the race to take that lead and get yourself ahead of that huge melee behind you. Did you manage to catch a glimpse of the scope of that incident in your?
Ah, yes, I did. I just looked in the mirror and seen it all unfolding behind me, and I'm just thinking, wow. Glad I wasn't involved in that, I guess.
Yeah, it's certainly a big one, and a case of in the right place at the right time for you there. How far into that run were you when you sort of realised that you're going to be in a bit of trouble here with your?
The fuel. When I come out of the pits, it said I was 4 litres short, but still need another lap on top of that. So I was probably about 5 litres short, and I saved that much throughout that stint. I was coughing over the line.
Yeah, you certainly did a good job to get to the end. We saw you lifting and coasting and clutching in pretty hard towards the end. You did a fantastic job.
Yep.
And you've had quite a good run of form lately in the Cup Series. Are you looking forward to the next race? Think you got to continue that?
Yeah, definitely. These cars, this new aero package is really good. I didn't like it before, but whatever they've changed now feels real good.
Yeah, well, you've certainly figured it out, and you're certainly running well. So I wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. And before I let you go, I want to give a shout out to any.
Yes, I would like to thank our sponsors, WP Concreting. Oh God, I can't remember many more. I'll do, mate. Can't think of it at the moment on top of my head. I know there's heaps.
Well, thank you to all of Matty Clute's team's sponsors. And thank you, Matty Clute, for putting on a great show today with that third place finish.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, Ryan.
No, all right. All right, well, that was Matty Clute, and that was your top 3 for today's race here in Michigan. That was a very exciting race. A lot of lead changes throughout that race, and in the end, it came down to a matter of who had the most fuel. And as always, it was Jason Martin. It's always.
Well, Jason Martin has only just got his second win in this season, and that's one thing I wanted to chat about. Is we've only had 2 multiple winners this season: Jason Martin and, of course, Matt Danson. It's really been a topsy-turvy season. Of course, we've got the new cars coming in. We've got changes coming in. Looks like the changes for the better with what's just happened as well, because this was a fantastic race, and it looked like people had a really good car for the first 20 or so laps, and then after that you just had to start getting onto the skill a little bit and start really chasing the car and keeping the car into control. And it's caught a few people out, and I think a few people, especially that finished further down, that really didn't have a problem-filled race. They didn't really have many incidents, but they did have some sort of just weren't really on pace. I think a few teams are going to be asking themselves about that and just talking a little bit behind the scenes, going, what can we do to get that pace? What will we do to get a little bit further up the field?
Yeah, and I think it's going to throw a bit of a look into how the next race is going to go. Obviously, Sonoma, quite a dusty track, a lot of acceleration zones from low speed, from high speed, mid speed corners. Yeah, it's very easy to get the car sideways, and I think you're going to see a whole nother group of drivers running at the front of that one. Obviously, you got guys like Chris Purnell, who are very good in road track races. I can think of a few other road course specialists that might crop up. So it should be quite interesting to see who can come out on top in the next race at Sonoma as well.
Yeah, Sonoma is, of course, everybody's favourite race. I know that many of our drivers absolutely adore that track, so say that tongue in cheek, of course. But it's going to really throw up a different challenge, and it will be interesting to see how it all goes for a road course.
Yep, it certainly should be. You got any final thoughts for this for tonight's coverage, Carl?
Well, final thoughts, really. Well, you did a fantastic job on lead commentary, so fantastic job, and thank you, Ryan, for jumping in. But really, just it's great to see that there's some good racing coming out of this new package, and it's good to see that people are actually having a bit of a challenge this year.
Yeah, this new package is providing some excellent racing, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season unfolds. I don't know whether I'm going to be racing or whether I'm going to be commentating, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to
It
be
should
hard
be
for you,
very
of course, because with a race like that where there's so much going on and it looked like a real good fun on the track, you're sort of you're going to ask yourself which is more fun, the commentary before the track this season. It's a tricky one, I'm sure.
Yeah, maybe I'll just surprise you all. I'll change it up. But yeah, it was a good race, another good one to broadcast, and hopefully some more of the same next week.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see some more for Sonoma. So yeah, this is me, Carl Withy, and Ryan Jones there for Performance E Streaming. Thank you to E53, the sponsor for the championship, and ANZCAR, of course, for the league. And I guess we'll be wrapping up here.
Yep. Good night. Good night, everyone. Enjoy.